Brooke here with a quick message for my transfer applicants. If you are currently attending another college or university and want to transfer to USC Viterbi, attend one of our advisement sessions. We host them on select Fridays. You can find more info at viterbi.link/events. That's VITERBI.link/events. And don't worry about rushing to submit your application. The common application for transfer students isn't due until February 15th. Now, let's get that podcast started.
This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Viterbi Voices. As usual, I am one of your hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
Hey everyone, I'm your other co-host. My name is Sophia Patel. I'm a senior studying computer science and doing my master's in engineering management.
And joining us is a new voice to the podcast. So please introduce yourself, new voice.
Hello, I am Xavier Laddick. I am a sophomore studying civil engineering with an emphasis in building science. And I'm here to talk about career stuff.
Xavier, why don't you tell everybody, the listeners, a little bit more about yourself? Where you're from, what you're involved in on campus, what's your life like at USC?
Sure. I'm from New Jersey personally, so I'm a little bit of a long way from home. I'm part of a lot of clubs. I really like clubs. I've joined a ton of fun clubs, but more specifically here, I've joined some of the engineering societies, such as American Society of Civil Engineers, Institute of Transportation Engineers. And I've caught up with classes a lot, especially this semester, but I try to hang out with friends in those classes outside of the classes. It does catch up a lot of time, but then I also spend time building career stuff.
Okay, cool. So I'm curious, you just said I like lots of clubs, but specifically here, are you involved in things that are not here? Like, I don't understand where else are you involved in?
Right. Clarify. Well, there's some organizations that I was part of back home that
you mean
still
in high
kind of
school?
reach out. Yeah, in high school.
Okay.
That still
No, I'm just
reach
talking
out.
about like USC stuff, man.
Yeah, USC stuff.
Overthinking the question. It's okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So Xavier, what is this episode that you bring to us today?
Right. Before coming here, I really thought that like job stuff and career stuff was always later. Like I would always kick that down the can and be like, oh, that's a junior thing, right? Like that's a senior. I got to get a job at some point. But that completely changed once I came here and I realized, oh, wait, I can start looking at this immediately. I didn't have a resume in high school. And then once I came here, I was immediately like, oh, there's all these resources. There's people coming to campus. There's people talking about career stuff. I gotta get in on this. So I started figuring out ways that like as a freshman and sophomore, or especially as a freshman, you're like, oh, you're not going to be able to get an internship. You don't jump into the career stuff. But I've basically drawn up a list of a bunch of ways that as a freshman and sophomore, you can really get a head start in this career stuff and really get involved.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into that episode and then we'll catch up with everybody on the back end and see how everyone's going on this second to last episode of the fall season of season 10.
Me again, Xavier. And now I have a friend here, a fellow civil engineering student, fellow sophomore. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Christian. I'm a civil engineering major. No emphasis yet, but leaning towards construction management or structural engineering. And yeah.
Well, where are you from, Christian?
Oh, I am from suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. Chose USC. Just better school overall, in my opinion.
I mean, it is. At this point, we're both from a little bit farther out, and we've got some organizations in common. I talked about earlier, I'm part of ASCE and ITE, which we'll get into that later. What else are you part of?
I am part of also ACE, probably a different branch. I'm under Timber Strong. And
wait, really?
Yeah, I just haven't been too active this semester, but I'm trying to get
Me
back to
too, except I just haven't been to any.
it. But yeah, Tim Restaurant. And I'm also part of CMA, part of their sport competition for concrete solutions, and EERI as well. Not as active, but trying to get back on it second semester.
We'll get into all these a little bit later once we get through some other stuff, but both of us are sophomores and both of us are thinking about you know, we got to get paid later. We got to get jobs.
Find those internships, you know?
Yeah, and there's no way to do it until you get started. The only way to start is by starting. So with that said, let's start. The most obvious thing once you get to campus is you'll hear about a career fair. And I will warn any incoming students, or even if there's any freshmen, you may have noticed the career fair happens sooner than you expect. It kind of just happens. Suddenly there's a Wednesday where the entire width of campus, Truesdale Parkway, is nothing but tables and recruiters. It's just bam. Just
It's
for a
just
few hours, it's mayhem.
just full with people. A lot of upperclassmen trying to find internships as well. Just the road covered, and also there's two career fairs. There's the overall for anyone at USC, but there's also the Viterbi career fair that spans multiple days.
Yeah. And this is why Viterbi's the best. We get our own career fair.
Special one just for us.
It's the same size as the all USC career fair. It takes up the same footprint, but it's just engineering, which is awesome. It's so cool.
And there's a lot of civil engineering companies looking for civil engineers, so that also makes it great.
Yeah. I kind of have a short list. I don't know if you do, but I have a short list of kind of like companies, like friendly companies that I'm looking for. Because
Yeah.
one, they have a ton of swag, and I've picked up the swag. I actually have one of my rulers here that I use on a daily basis is from picking up from some career event. And KPFF, shout out to them. They've got great merch. They've
They
got
have
great edges.
They have great stuff there.
Yeah. And I actually hit a point where I'd gone to the table 3 times. I haven't applied to KPFF yet, but I've gone to the table 3 times, and the people there, the two recruiters, I think they're both USC graduates, they're at the point where they recognize me, which was crazy to think about, that these people who I didn't know, they were like, I've seen you before, right? And later in an event where they came to campus again, the person was like, you seem very familiar. It's like, yeah, because I've stopped by the table more than once. I will say, advice for career fairs: just talk to the recruiters. Even if you don't feel like applying for an internship, you can still talk to firms and you can learn a lot about what they're about, what they do, and what to ask other firms, or what to say in general. They're stuck there for a few hours. You might as well talk to them.
Yeah, and also it's somewhat of a practice just to start talking to professional people, just so you can show who you truly are as a person. Because the stereotype in Viterbi is that we're engineers, we don't know how to talk to people, but we are people. So
They're engineers too. So.
yeah, they're also engineers, so we should put ourselves out there and just ask questions, be ourselves. Personally, in my take with career fairs, I do give them a resume. Ask them questions. I don't do it with the hope of like, yes, I'm for sure gonna get an internship, but do it with the hope of hopefully in the future they're gonna remember me, just like Xavier, and just be like, oh, so you were that one freshman that applied, and now me sophomore, junior, getting it just because I applied my freshman year really gives me an opportunity, I feel like.
They do like to see interest in their company, and if you kind of like, if you're there a lot and they get to know them, it's really about personal connection. It really does feel like it's about personal connection. How good are you think, with like business small talk at this point, or you like go up and you chat with them? Or the thing that we were both talking about, we struggle with, elevator pitches are terrifying, but how good are you at that?
I don't practice it too often, so I want to say I'm kind of bad, but I feel I can wing it enough to where it's decent. Could not be the worst.
Yeah, my main practice is career fairs, and getting better at it. I'm still, I really need that elevator pitch. It's like, who are you? What do you do? I'm stammering every time. It happened in the intro of this video too, but video podcast.
And you saw me, I forgot to say where I'm from, but I don't think that's really important here because usually engineering companies have a lot of locations in different places. So
Yeah, they've got offices across country.
Yeah.
And the thing is, at the career fair, firms come to campus. They talk to us. It's generally the offices that are here, and then those offices also send recruiters just to campus for events outside of the career fair, which these I highly recommend going to. They tend to have info sessions, like for example, Lockheed Martin info session, where they just talk about who they are, what they do, kind of people they're looking for, benefits, lots of benefits, and things like that. Have you been to any of those?
I've been to a few. I would say they're also a lot smaller as in size, which gives you a great opportunity just to like show them who you are and just so they could remember you. Because in fairs, they see a lot of people. In these events, they see less or just because it's limited to a certain amount of people. So if you're able to get in, it really helps you.
Yeah, I mean it's like 15 to 20 people or even less, you think, at these info sessions.
It's something like that. Maybe a max of 30.
I remember going to Turner and I think it was like 20 people.
Yeah.
And they just kind of talked a little bit. And that's really one-on-one. That's what it is. You get business cards, you get to reach out via LinkedIn. It's kind of great.
Oh, also not to mention, they have free food.
Oh yeah, food. Okay. College student reality. Food is great. Food is always great.
And free food is even better.
They know they used to be college students. They know exactly what people are college students. They know what we want. So they bring food, they bring business cards. We get both of those. It's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
We'll say something. Sometimes the companies even help with resume stuff. But really, it's just there are resume building events that are put on by the USC Career Center, which is a fantastic resource. I don't think that they've renamed themselves. I think it's still the Career Center. No, it's a different website. Sorry. The Career Center does all kinds of events like resume building, mock interviews, which is a really great series that I participated in. And they're the ones who generally organize these firms coming on campus and having these events. And sometimes there'll be a firm specific event that is resume building, and they'll basically tell you how to build your resume for this firm, which is pretty cool. I don't think I've been to any, at least not this semester, because this semester has been chaotic academically. Chris and I have some similar classes.
Similar classes with similar outcomes. I still, I also haven't been to the Career Center too often, but it's been on my list to go to the Career Center and do one of their events that's where they check up your resume just so like a workshop, and so I can improve my resume.
Yeah. That's something to keep on our like to-do list.
Yeah.
That's on the short list.
That's like always to-do thing. Always just keep improving it.
Check their email updates. I sometimes I scroll through my email and I try to like bookmark events and whatnot, and then slip them in. You have to be careful with your class schedule, of course, but generally it's fairly good timing. It's like usually mid-afternoon sort of events.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The mock interview series was really you come very professional, you come with a resume and you pretend like it's an actual employer, and typically it is actual alumni and active structural engineers. I talked to someone who's either he was either a project manager or a structural engineer, but he was a guy actually working. He's probably done interviews like this to actually recruit people, so he just did that with me while I was a freshman to try to give me some pointers. And then I connected with him on LinkedIn afterwards. It was great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What kind of question did he ask you? Like, how did you improve your resume afterwards?
It was really about presenting myself that I learned a lot. Because he asked questions about why are you interested in this field? What are you hoping to accomplish? He didn't ask anything like why this firm, because, not a but he wanted to know what I had done at school to kind of prepare myself for what I was doing there. And that's a really important question for freshmen and sophomores, because freshman year, you're learning like the language of engineering, not all of the skills immediately. Like I couldn't calculate building strength in freshman year. I was still doing calculus. But once you do that, sophomore year, you start kind of building those skills, but you're still not there yet. It's junior year that you become like, I can calculate all the beam stuff. I can determine whether or not this building's going to fall down or not.
In a more realistic kind of way.
Yeah. I found it really tricky where it's, you can talk about your classes, but when you talk about your classes, in your freshman sophomore year, you're not going to say like, oh, these are the skills that I'm now capable of. You'll talk about teamwork, collaboration, and kind of projects, ideation process. And they're really curious about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had the same. You were in 102, engineering 102.
I was also
right?
in engineering 102.
I talked about that project where we basically had to develop an innovation in a team with
Yeah.
other types of engineers. Engineering 102 is the freshman academy class, by the way. Did you guys have to do some sort of big group project for that?
Yes, we did a
Yeah.
big group project as well. The best part about the class is that you meet other people in other engineering majors, which really, at least I enjoyed because I met other people, but also just seeing other backgrounds and just other people with different interests and just putting our interests together. I was partnered with someone in astrological engineering.
Astronautical?
I don't, something with to do with
I'm gonna make fun of you for your pronunciation here. Astronautical engineering. That's rocket science.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
and we focus on the nitrogen cycle because that was one of the topics.
That was one of the grand challenges.
Yeah, the grand challenge was nitrogen, and I can't remember how we made, but at the end we made like a fertilizer seed because at the end we came out to find out that fertilizer was like the big problem that led to the nitrogen cycle. And me as a civil engineer and him as that kind of engineer, we were put together and we made this project. And at least I found that really interesting because we had completely different backgrounds, could relate to mine, but still not exactly the same. And I feel it was really cool. It's just putting our ideas together because at the end of the day, we had to think like engineers and go through that whole process.
Hi there, it's Brooke, one of your Viterbi admission counselors with your mid-podcast message. I want to tell you about our year-round on-campus Visit Viterbi experiences. They're the best way to get to know more about our Viterbi programs. It's a 90-minute session focused on first-year applicants, and it includes an overview of our academic programs and admission process. It's led by one of our very own USC Viterbi admission counselors. So if you'd like to join us on campus, we would love to meet you. Please visit viterbi.link/events, that's VITERBI.link/events to reserve your Visit Viterbi experience. Now back to the podcast.
So you guys designed that fertilizer seed. You had one partner for that class?
Yeah, at least we were a group of 2.
Oh, I led a team of 6.
The difference is crazy.
Yeah. We were in teams of 6, and we spent pretty much most of the class in that team. But I was working with just like the whole sweep. I had a CS games. I had a CS.
Wow.
No, not a CS games. I had a CS business, an EE, a MECI. I just had a bunch of people, and that was something I talked about a lot because I got to sort of brag about. I don't like bragging, but you have to get used to it for interviews. I don't know if you felt that as well.
Oh yeah,
selling yourself is hard. But I was like, yeah, I led this team because I kind of appointed myself team leader, but everyone else went along with it, so it worked. Guys, lead group projects. You get to talk about it.
You gotta exaggerate it just so you sound more interesting to the people you present to.
Yeah. So I was pretty. I talked about like we chose solar energy as our grand challenge and seeing if we can do like make individual units more affordable and try to also work with energy capture, which was taking on, we kind of bit off more than we could chew, but we came up with a fairly interesting little project. And then we went to the makerspace and got a printout of like a kind of scale model, which I designed in a really basic CAD software and then got it printed out for a demonstration to the class, which was cool. It was fun. But we're talking about working with all these other majors, but civil engineering is the best major. So let's talk about some civil engineering specific organizations, and these clubs, absolutely fantastic way. Absolutely fantastic way to, what's it called?
Meet more people.
Thank you.
Know more about the major and just have more connections.
And more importantly, firms. They bring companies to campus. They have these big symposium events. It's
Huge.
Great. Just recently, like 2 weeks ago, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I checked my notifications. the whole chapter of American Society of Civil Engineers is organized via Discord. So everyone's in the Discord. And they were just like, hey guys, KPFF, the firm I mentioned before, my favorite firm that I'm looking at for junior year internship. We'll see. They're like, hey, KPFF is coming to campus and we're bringing Panda Express. Like, come and check us. It was perfect. I got dinner and I got to connect with people. And this is when I bumped into that USC alumni who is a civil engineer there. And again, she was like, "You seem very familiar." And I was like, you actually remembered me. Wow. Companies actually do want to recruit students. We'll talk about that more later, but they're actually really looking at us and trying to find the most competitive students at the most competitive places, which, as it turns out, is here. You're part of which of these organizations? We talked about.
I'm part of TMA. So currently I'm really active with CMAA, but I'm also part of ACE and ERI.
Yeah. And quick reminders what those all stand for. Actually, I'm gonna make you do it. Let's
Okay.
see if Christian remembers what his organization stand for.
So CMAA stands for Construction Management Association of America.
There you go.
ACE, I don't even know what the A is not.
American Society of Civil Engineers.
And
It's funny that you can be so active in the group and then just like forget what it stands for.
I'm also part of ERI, which earthquake something something something.
It's engineering or Earthquake Engineering Research Institute.
Yeah, it's that.
I've withdrawn from that club and I remember what it stands for. But they have catchy abbreviations, so you can just go by the abbreviations.
Yeah.
Honestly. But ASCE, I didn't know you were also ASCE has a number of design teams.
Yeah.
It's smaller student groups that because the whole organization is like what 40, 50 people?
It's a lot of something like that, probably more.
It's a lot of people. It's probably more. I was gonna say 80 originally, but not 80 people. 80 people don't come to the general meetings. It's like 40, 50. But these design teams is a smaller, like a dozen students working on a specific project,
Yeah.
and then you go to the competition later, or you don't have to go to the competition, but you can participate and help. But you're also in
Yeah.
Timberstrong?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really funny, actually. I was more active. I went to a few meetings in spring semester of this year, and I haven't been this fall, but that's because they started late and they've been mostly doing design and structural calculations. I'm doing enough of that with 215. I'm good. So in spring, I'm gonna help them with the building and whatnot.
Yeah, for me, similar case. Spring semester, I didn't go. I said like last year or last semester. This semester, I'm also being too busy with classes and CMAA. Since for CMAA right now, we're practicing for a Sparks competition, which similar to ACE. It's a total of like, I want to say more than 50, but around there, students that are interested in construction management, but there's also other majors. Our team leader is something not even in the engineering department, but she's there.
Really?
Yeah, she's the
What's her
main
major?
like business economy,
Wow.
something like that.
Okay, that's
So it's completely different, but she's there, so it's open to anyone. And right now, we just had the symposium, which we'll get to later. But right now, what we're mainly focuses on the sport competition, which is like I was saying, similar to ACE, where it's just different clubs, like within the same club, just different branches where they focus on different things. We're going to go compete in Reno, Nevada in February. And right now we're practicing for that, as in, depending on what group you're doing, there's different things that you do. At least I'm part of Concrete Solutions, where we're modeling the concrete of different buildings that our coaches, these coaches are people who work in actual companies. At least our coaches are morally, and they're teaching us how to use Revit, how to do the estimating, how to do scheduling, things like that, and just practicing for the actual competition when they're going to give us similar.
It's crazy that you guys are learning Revit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's just Revit. If you don't know what Revit, actually, I'm going to let you explain what Revit is.
So Revit is a modeling software that is mainly used for civil engineers.
Also architects.
Also architects.
Yeah.
That's as much as I know how to say what to say.
Yeah, it's computer system design and modeling software that is used very widely in the architectural field. It is kind of the professional software that more or less dominates. So learning that kind of crazy. I have an emphasis in building science, which is basically architectural engineering. We're doing actually Rhino rather than Revit,
Yeah.
which is really interesting, I guess, that you've got that kind of a head start. Rhino is okay. Rhino feels kind of clunky. It almost looks retro in the way it's set up.
It looks cool though. Like when I see your screen, I'm like, damn, he's doing things right now.
I'm pretty proud of what I've managed to accomplish with Rhino. It looks really cool. I'm learning how to bend shapes pretty well, folding. We've had a lot of projects related to folding, and folding is not as easy as it sounds in digital software because you're like, oh, let's just make a thin thing and let's get the oh wait, no, no, folding paper is easier than it is to fold something digitally. Unless I'm just bad at it, which is entirely possible. It's a learning curve. A learning curve that is steep and filled with spikes. Uh, anyway, specification. I don't know if we no, we did explain what Timber Strong was, did we?
I don't think we did.
Okay, we said we were both part of it. We never explained what the actual point of it was. This is something that companies are going to ask, hey, what are you part of? What do you do? And we'd say, okay, we're part of Timber Strong, or I'm part of Timber Strong. We wouldn't be doing a joint interview.
Yeah.
Like, we would be rivals. Anyway, like Pokemon rivals. I don't know if you ever played Pokemon games.
I did not.
Oh, okay. That joke did not.
But I do know the reference, though. I do know.
Okay. Anyway, they'll ask what you do. You say Timber Strong, but then the company's going to ask you, what is Timber Strong? Sometimes they know. Sometimes they do know and they'll ask you anyway.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they just want to know, like, genuinely, what is it and how does that, why is Timber Strong relevant to career applications? And you'd explain, okay, Timber Strong is a design team, part of ASCE, which is, of course, pretty much a global organization of civil engineers. Timber Strong teaches you to work within a group. You have to use wood, nails, and a list of materials that are included as part of the design description. Oh, you get a design prompt, which is just like the real world, kind of getting instructions and restrictions on what you can build. You work to design something within those restrictions. That's part of the prompt. You come up with something. You work as a team to construct. I think it was a treehouse last year.
It was the up house. Well,
our theme,
we
themed it around the up house. Yeah. I think the prompt last time was a treehouse. Or maybe that's this year. But you'll be given, okay, you have to make a 2-story single room structure with just wood. And you're with wood, ladders, nails. Go for it. You have to design that, come up with it, work within a team, check over various things, make sure. Oh, wow, my nose is getting stuffy. Make sure that it fits these requirements and these descriptions, and then you have to try and win a competition. You have to work together to build efficiently, build quickly, be short on materials. So that's kind of how you'd give out the list of what you do and relate it to the real world, relate it to fields, and that's more or less how you use stuff like this in an interview. You concur?
Yeah, it's basically that. I could add on that they do have special specifications where they say where they're gonna add a load to it, and you gotta design it based on that. And they give you extra points if you add a door or a window. At least for last year's competition, they did that. Not too sure for this year though.
Yeah, I remember we had windows.
Windows indoors.
Yeah. Like a proper structure. And then we themed it around the up house, including painting, which is really nice. It looks really nice. Where were we? Right. We talked about CMA, ASCE, and then my little thing that I'm part of and Christian isn't part of, which he could be if he just wanted to join, if he wants to go to extra general meetings. An organization that works really hard to do career-related stuff. The Institute of Transportation Engineers is something that I didn't originally plan on joining because I kind of looked at transportation and I said, no, I like buildings. I like I like architecture. I like structures. I don't want things that move. Are you kidding? But trains are cool. I mean, yeah.
That
And two, transportation is actually a really good field to look at and be interested in if you are a freshman and a sophomore. I'll get into why later when we talk about internships, but it is a really good starting place and it's a really big and open field. Um, but ITE, not only is it a great community with a faculty advisor, but they bring a lot of groups like Caltrans and whatever. Oh man, I'm blanking on
Amtrak?
whatever. Not Amtrak.
Oh.
There's a company that is working on the big project to try and get a high-speed rail connection between San Fran and LA.
Oh.
And they're hitting a major roadblock at the moment because they have to deal with the valley and the fact that there's a bunch of mountains. Like they've gotten all the way up to the mountains north of LA, and
Oh.
they have it's going to cost a lot of money
Yeah.
to advance any further because they have to share with freight rail, and they also have to deal with the fact that there's mountains in the way. And deciding whether to go around or to try and go through or go over is a little bit complicated. They still want to go fast. It's high speed rail. So there's tons of complications. And of course, the freight lines. They have to share with the freight lines, and the freight companies do not like that at all. And this is all stuff I never would have learned if it wasn't for going to this info session where they have pizza and just learning from actual people in the field and listening to them complain about what is actively going on at their job sites. We're literally getting a peek into what they're doing, and it's fantastic. It's really cool. ITE also, I'll talk about field trips later, but ITE also organizes a lot of field trips.
Yeah, just want to mention again, going back to CMAA, they
Battle for supremacy. ITE,
Yes.
CMAA.
CMAA invites companies every week, twice a week, different companies to talk about.
Twice a week is crazy. What?
Yeah, Tuesdays and
join
Thursdays,
this.
to talk about what they do, who they are, and recruit students, and they always have free food. So they have a lot of career opportunities in the club, and they also, as the club itself, it knows a lot of other companies that, yeah, they just invite and they're happy to come and talk to us.
I've been meaning to, and I've always pushed it off because I'm like, no, I'm not really interested in construction. But CMAA is becoming more and more appealing. Mitch, who's another VSA, I think he's been on one of the Viterbi Voices. The first time I met him, he was actually like advertising, like he was at it was a club fair or something, and he was advertising to join, and yeah, he pretty much had me mostly convinced, and then I was like, oh, I forgot about the meeting. There's a lot of general meetings, so it just kind of like flies under the radar.
Yeah.
But it's just got a lot of good opportunities. Also, that symposium, which we will get to. But before we do, let's talk about emails, or rather, digital resources.
We get a lot of emails within Viterbi, Handshake, LinkedIn. There's probably more. Viterbi careers.
We should probably specify what Handshake is.
Yes.
Which is a little bit confusing because there's a resource that recently changed its name to Handshake. There was a USC, all professional opportunities at USC were centered around one website. And they recently changed it to an application called Handshake, which basically you go in, you make a profile. If you need water.
No, I'm good.
Okay. I need water, which is what I'm. Here I am interrupting myself. Whatever. This is for both of us, first time trying to do anything like a podcast, so be nice. Let's see. Handshake is the application where all kind of Viterbi professional opportunities and what's it called? Employer negotiations are centralized here. You get emails from Handshake, you go in, you make an account, you upload the most recent version of your resume, you can send your resume to employers through it, I believe, and you get notification about lots and lots of events. You also get them through email in general because the Career Center will send you stuff. And what was it? Viterbi Careers? That's a third thing, I believe.
Yeah, Viterbi Careers.
You know more about that than I do.
Honestly, I'm not too sure what it is. But
Okay,
but
well,
what I
it turns out you don't know more than I do.
But what I do know is that they send me emails more than once a week about different companies uh looking for students to recruit, and they're always suggesting apply for this job, submit your resume, and things like that. So it's really opened the doors for many different opportunities, and it's exciting because these opportunities don't come that often.
I love that. I'm like, you know more than I do. And you go, well, actually, the thing is, all these different sources kind of blur together into just kind of an inundation of opportunities, which is what I've really liked about USC so far. People just ask me what it's like, and I describe it as a dense concentration of opportunities in like a 1 mile by 1 mile square. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And the important thing is check your email. You will see things that you would not have seen otherwise. They're looking for students to take part in opportunities, such as Viterbi Trek, which is something that Christian and I both, an experience that Christian and I both did, which, and we can go ahead and talk about it in a moment, but also digital things, both Handshake and LinkedIn, keeping an updated profile allows employers to discover you and also allows you to kind of build a connection. With LinkedIn, it's just building connections in general. It's a good way to keep up with professionals that you meet. Instead of having to keep track of a long list of emails, hunt them down on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
It's
that's the best way.
It sometimes feels like stalking when like I meet someone and I learn like their name and the company they're at, and then I go and try to look them up, and I'm scrolling through all these profiles trying to find them, and then finding a way to become like go from like, oh wait, we're like fourth connections, and I don't have LinkedIn Pro. I need to find another connection to get to them. But it's worth it. It's well worth it. Handshake, I assume that's probably more like Trojan Family. Like,
Yeah, Handshake's more like family. LinkedIn is overall, it's like social media, but for business, because you're trying to find a job or just meet people in the business world.
It's so weird to think about it, but I actually just updated my profile recently.
Oh,
I realized I had forgotten to put my internship in my resume, which is a huge oversight. It's a huge oversight. So you got to keep that updated.
Yeah.
My Handshake is also not updated, and that's burning. It's burning a hole in your pocket refers to money, but it is like, I guess in my field of view constantly that my resume could just be like, it could be updated. It could be beefed up a little bit.
No, yeah, I feel that. That's why I've been wanting to fix my resume a little bit. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
We should just go to a career center event. Maybe let's just both of us. Anyway, last two things that we're counting on this resource list. We've talked about career fair, we've talked about firms coming to campus, we've talked about the organizations that bring them there, both student organizations and the USC career fair. We've talked about these digital resources, and then these are all more obvious. The things that are less obvious is, well, students and the people around you. I've found that older students can help point me in the right direction, and I've really learned about kind of the internship timeline, the application timeline, and that process. Most of my information about that comes from talking to older students. And I've learned a lot from them and their experiences. I don't know if you've had the same thing. Mostly it's ASCE, and then also they changed the name of it. I don't know what the new name was, but I had a peer mentor for first fall semester, and
I think I've heard about it at the program.
Actually, actually, I'm not going to name names on the podcast. There's no need for that. But someone who we both know from Timber Strong was my mentor, and she told me a lot about that kind of internship timeline, and really got me thinking about it. And I actually learned a lot of this stuff from her as well. I don't know if you've had the same experience with older students.
Yeah, with upperclassmen, I've learned a lot about like what to do and what to not to do, and like also what companies are like more open to recruiting underclassmen, things like that, and just processes and getting to meet more people because maybe those upperclassmen know certain companies, places, people, And just by you knowing them, they could help you get to talk to them, things like that.
For example, if an upperclassman graduates and starts working at somewhere, and you'd like to get an internship there, reach out to them. They can talk to HR. They can kind of put in a good word. Also, they don't bite. They're fine to talk to. At least, I think so. No, wait, we need to restore the air of mystery. We need to scare the freshmen. Freshmen, be scared. Be scared of the seniors. No, no, I can't do that in good faith. They're pretty chill. They're too busy with work. Yeah. Just imagining like I'm just imagining seniors being like, "Yo, we should go bully the freshmen." Oh wait, let me find a time in my Google Calendar. No, sorry, I'm studying for like 458 risk assessment and civil engineering.
Yes.
If I got that number right, I'm gonna be so happy. Is 458 risk assessment?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check later. Other things, classes. In one of my classes very recently, it was actually my architecture class, but it's architectural engineering, so it bridges the gap. But there was a firm that came to the class to talk to the class specifically and basically said, yeah, we're looking to recruit students. We are looking to recruit you guys. You guys are the most competitive students. You guys see if you guys get a C or something, you're not like, oh, okay, that's fine. No, you want the A. You want the higher grades. You want the opportunities. And that was kind of shocking to realize that this guy's after us. Like, we're not going to companies and like begging, I guess, or like, please give me job. No, the companies come here. They come to USC to recruit us. That kind of change in perspective is crazy. That it's so much more symbiotic than I thought it was. It's so much more personal, and it's so much more meat in the middle where they want us and we want them, and it's kind of just meeting in the middle at downtown LA, you know? That was kind of a revelation. I'm pronouncing my words wrong. And in this class, it was specifically through this class that we've done field trips, and this firm, a representative from Simpson Strong Tie, came and just gave us merchandise, gave us a speech, helped us with a project of ours, and just kind of advertised his company. Fantastic opportunities. Plus, sometimes there's scholarship opportunities, both associated with these. Have you seen any of that in your email where companies will kind of put out scholarship opportunities?
I have seen a few.
Yeah. They want to support education. So companies themselves put out scholarship opportunities, which is fantastic. And I'm losing my train of thought here. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Sister Strong Tie came to our class, and sometimes in classes you also get like flyers or notifications. Like I've had a professor mention, hey, there's this scholarship thing. Take a look at it. That's happened before. The last thing, which is important for both of us, is Viterbi reputation. I'm from the East Coast. You're from, can I call you Midwest?
Yeah, you can call me Midwest.
I'm not super clear on what Midwest is. I've never been.
Midwest is everything in the middle of the U.S. It's just flat.
Does Kansas count?
Yes.
Oh. Wow, okay. I just thought that was middle of nowhere. Not to talk bad on Kansas, but like I'm from near the ocean, so a bit different. Either way, we're both a long way from home. What good is, some LA school? Well, a lot, apparently.
Very important.
People know what USC is, and people know what the reputation is. And that is a resource that will follow you. Doesn't matter if you're a freshman or a sophomore. Give it 2 more years, suddenly you're a junior and a senior. And that's huge. And people know what the brand means.
Yeah, they know what USC is, what it stands for, and how big the Trojan family is, and how much they'll actually help you find a job or just find a better opportunity.
Yeah, big Trojan family. You're much more into the Trojan spirit, being that you're a member of the marching band.
Yeah, being with the band. Something that I was amazed last year when we went to Chicago for the Notre Dame game, we had a rally at the Navy Pier, which is right next to Lake Michigan. And it was kind of raining. And I was surprised by the amount of people that came to support the USC band, which just showed me how big the Trojan family is.
At Notre Dame too.
Not just in LA, but in Chicago in rainy weather, just to see the band perform. So, assuming that some people might have not showed up because of the rain, it could have been a bigger rally. And it's really exciting because everywhere we travel with the band, there's always a huge crowd looking for the band, which just shows that the Trojan family is everywhere in the country.
Is Notre Dame located in Chicago?
No, it's not.
No. Okay.
It's 2 hours in Indiana, South Bend.
Okay. You don't have any conflicting loyalties, right?
No.
You better not. We got a game coming up, Christian. We got a.
I'm a true Trojan. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay. We got a.
I'm the spirit.
We've got a good game coming up against Notre Dame.
Tomorrow, actually.
It is tomorrow. We are recording this Friday. They believe this comes out on Sunday. So by the time this comes out, we will know whether or not we will be heartbroken or absolutely astounded at pulling off a win. We are not projected to win.
But I still have hope.
Okay.
I've heard good things about this team against Notre Dame, especially during home ground. So
home field advantage. All right. I hope so. I do hope so.
I hope the spirit and the team is there. They better.
All right. Enough of football. We're going to lock in for the end of this podcast. Talking about these are all the resources that are kind of at your disposal, freshmen, sophomores. Once you get here from week 1, these resources are at your disposal. All of this. Check your email, check those websites, have updated profiles. You don't necessarily need an updated resume immediately, but just get a rough copy. You can even you can kind of ask employers, hey, glance this over. Anything jump out at you as wrong or glaring? Get that elevator pitch ready and,
add personality to your elevator pitch. Personality to everything, especially in your Handshake or LinkedIn profile. Don't just leave it blank. Add a profile picture, add a background. Maybe a little bit about yourself too.
If there's ever an event on campus, this happens sometimes where they say, hey, professional headshot. Worth it.
Go for it.
Absolutely worth it. So, experiences. We mentioned earlier Viterbi Trek, something that Christian and I both did. That was really cool. You want to introduce it?
I'm going to pass it off to you. I don't know what the best way of explaining it.
Okay. Okay. So, Viterbi Trek was an opportunity during spring break of last year. So, we did have to sacrifice like 2 days over spring break. Absolutely worth it, though. Where we got to visit 2 firms. Did we do it both on the same day, or was it 2 days back to back?
Both on the same day.
Okay, both on the same day. I don't remember how competitive of a process it was, but there was an interview involved.
Yeah.
It was a group panel interview to try to be part of it. And I mean, you had to come looking fairly professional, which I always find fun. I like dressing up in the suit and whatnot. I don't get a lot of opportunities to do so. I need dress shoes here on campus.
Oh,
I feel like my wardrobe is split between here and back home. But
I feel that.
Anyway, back to Viterbi Trek. I get derailed so easily. We got to visit 2 companies, thanks to Viterbi, organized by the school and led by some chaperones who are part of this outreach department. We got to go visit a construction site and a downtown office. The construction site was of a company called W.E. O'Neill, which I had never heard of. And me, being all Mr. Architecture, Mr. Building, I was not super interested in the construction management part of it and kind of ready to write that off. KPFF, I keep mentioning them, that I was super excited about. They have an office in downtown, and this is kind of something that Christian and I were talking about a little bit ago, but you can kind of apply and visit firms. You can build relationships with these people from freshman year so that in junior year or senior year, when you're going for an internship, you have that bridge built already. It makes it so much easier to cross the river. Have you started doing that with any firms? Do you have a favorite? Do you have a dream firm like I do?
I do not, but there's some that do look really interesting. Like you said, KPPF is always go-to. It's a good company. Interested in W. O'Neill, DCI for structural, but also Turner Construction.
Yeah, Turner.
And math construction look pretty good.
I've been curious about Turner too, but at first seeing I did not care at all about the prospect of visiting a construction management firm in the field. I was just kind of like, whatever. And then Viterbi Trek, we meet these professionals. We get to hear what their life is like. Not only does it sound super cool, but they're doing an innovative project at LAX. We got behind the scenes at LAX,
On
which
site.
was super cool.
Yeah.
Also, like Air Force Two was there for some reason, but
Yes.
whatever. Not only that was super cool because they were doing an amazingly innovative project. Wait, we didn't, we're allowed to talk about it, right? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so they were doing a terminal extension, a temporary one at LAX because the Olympics are coming and the World Cup is coming.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people. So this is already a busy. I gotta watch my language. A super busy airport. A super busy airport taking in a ton of people. So they're doing a temporary terminal expansion so they can take in more people more efficiently. And so they decided the most cost efficient and time efficient way to do this construction effort on a really tight schedule and a tight budget
In a busy airport.
was to prefabricate 9 modules and then assemble this terminal
On site of in the LAX airport.
Just crazy to see. They have these giant, I don't even know what to call them. They're like the things that moved the space shuttle. They had those things. They had giant automated mechanized movers that they would put buildings onto, or that they were planning to put buildings onto, and then carry them into place. We saw them doing the fabrication near LAX, where they carved out a section of the airport that they used as their construction site. And we got to visit all their temporary offices, which the temporary offices feel like fully set up offices.
They were nice.
They feel like classrooms. That was stunning. So that was really cool to see. And KPFF, not to be outdone, let me put my favorite firm here. We got to visit their downtown office, which they've got a wonderful view up there.
60th floor, something like that.
Yeah. And we got to shadow people just working, just doing their job. We got to ask questions. We got to see what they were up to. I actually got to sit behind, I think it was a recent USC grad, who was like 3 years in and was kind of like, yeah, I'm still figuring this out. Which is a little bit reassuring, I guess, that someone who is there for 3 years is like, I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm still figuring it out. And that was really great. You're going to learn a lot. And that's also incentive for freshman, sophomore. Your classes are teaching you important fundamentals.
Yeah.
It's not teaching you how to do the job yet. It's important fundamentals. Go for an internship and just learn some skills on the job, because most of what you're going to learn, apparently, as it turns out, you're going to learn on the job. So that's pretty cool. And that brings me to my comment earlier about transportation. Why was I interested in transportation? I didn't have an interest in transportation. The barrier to entry for transportation is a bit lower than construction management, or I think the highest, structural, which you're interested in structural. So structural, you really want to get a ton of education. That's really complicated. And the building can fall over. That's not good.
Our goal is to avoid that.
Yeah.
Last
So
long time.
I pursued transportation, and I got really lucky, and I applied for a transportation internship. And again, you should do applications. Maybe you're not going to get them, but you should go ahead and try anyway. And I got told, hey, our applicant pool is full, but we can put you top of the list for next summer. Fine by me. That was fine by me. That was great. And I did it at a municipal engineering group near my hometown, and they did mostly transportation stuff. They did road work. They did a lot of projects involving restoring roads for municipalities and filling out transportation projects. How do I know? An intern dropped out, and I got their spot. So I actually got an internship this summer as a rising sophomore, which is somewhat unusual, but very possible.
Could happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my experience, I applied multiple places. didn't hear back, but I feel like just putting my resume out there to those companies really helped, at least for future reference when I do apply, because they're going to see that I was interested since my freshman year. And just seeing that timeline, as we were saying before, it's really going to help you in the long run after a while. So hoping that this year, those companies will remember me or remember my name just because it's saved in the program, in the website, and they'll give me a chance.
All right. As it turns out, we've been yapping for a while, longer than I anticipated. And we could talk further about symposiums, which is just big gatherings of these organizations.
Should I just summarize it real quick?
Yeah, you just mention the CMAA symposium because I'm curious about this just in general. This is kind of a big deal that I missed out on, and a lot of my peers are checking it out.
So
I want you to talk about this.
So the CMA Symposium is the biggest civil engineer symposium at USC. So basically, it's a formal event at USC where you go to dress for formal, and they invite a bunch of construction companies, different kind of companies, not just construction. And it's basically just an event where you try to network with other people. You just go up to them, be like, "Yo, who are you? How you doing? What you been doing?" Obviously, in a more formal language, and try to get
The business small talk.
and just get to know them. There's so many different companies, at least 50 or more. And then after like an hour of networking, you get seated down. They give you full dinner. They give you two options depending on the year. I'm not sure if they do that every year, but this year was salmon or steak. And then and then they give us dessert afterwards.
And where is this?
This is at the Town and Gown at USC. So
Oh, is it the fancy place?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And basically the symposium is based on depending on like a structure, but this year it was the Intuit Dome. So Turner Construction and this other company were the main star of the symposium because they were talking about their train of thought, what was going on, issues that they faced. And while multiple people are sitting down just hearing them and just like being amazed, at least I was amazed, and it really got me excited about construction overall for the Olympics because that site's going to be used for the Olympics in 2028, I believe.
Oh.
And I was seated with other people, and I was seated with grad students and this other company that I forgot their name.
Damn.
But basically, it's a great chance to talk to people from construction management areas and just meet them and network with them and hopefully get an internship. A lot of people get internships from the CMA Symposium, and
who gets to go?
Anyone can go as long as you pay the fee. Think if you're a member of CMA, you pay less. If you're not a member, you pay a little bit more, not that much, maybe like $10 more. And anyone is welcome under any major. You just submit your resume, pay the fee to go, and you're open to it.
Yeah, and I think the fee is well worth it. And what's the last part about the symposium that we mentioned? So I'd heard about this. What happens at the end of the symposium?
At the end of the symposium, the marching band shows up.
Okay, no, that's not.
Oh, not that far.
No, that's not. Wait, did they actually?
Yeah, they do.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's how it ends.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh. Did you like run out of your seat and grab your trombone?
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
I stayed formal.
No, I was referring to the other thing.
Yes. Scholarships. They also reward scholarships. I think there were like 6 different scholarships for 6 different areas, and anyone can apply for them. And yeah, it's they choose the students based on your application for the scholarship, based on what you wrote, what you said, things like that, and you get rewarded a good amount, at least like $5K.
And that's the firms giving out those scholarships, or is that USC?
I think it's the firms with CMAA.
Okay. So it's a combination of the firms and that national organization. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's really cool. I didn't know the band showed up. Sorry. I'm a huge fan of the band. That's fantastic. But yeah. So in experiences that you can try and build as a younger class, as an underclass. I almost said younger classman. As a younger underclassman, freshman, sophomore. Go on field trips. You can get them through classes. You can get them through organizations. Through ITE and through classes, I've gone on field trips to Long Beach Airport, to train lines that are under construction for the Olympics, and visiting other firms. You should look for things like Viterbi Trek, which is a very special sort of field trip. It's a fantastic field trip because you get behind the scenes and everything.
And you get to network with the companies afterwards too, so
it's so worth it. Look for shadow opportunities. I don't think neither of us have done it, but there are opportunities to shadow at firms in LA because there's a lot of them, and you can learn a lot by just kind of following along in the process. That can happen during the semester, or it could be for like a week at some point during winter break, stuff like that. Symposiums are great. I went to the ASCE symposium. I will admit, not as cool as the CNA. There was no Trojan band there, but there was a lot of networking. There was a job fair. There was a dinner, and there were scholarships, but not as many.
Yeah.
And of course, it wasn't at Town and Gown. It was at the Dorothy Something Music Pavilion, which is really cool.
That's so cool.
Right next to Walt Disney Concert Hall, if you guys know where that is. And then finally, just apply if you feel like it. Apply for an internship. It's the odds of getting an internship as a freshman turning into a sophomore is harder. I will say it is harder, and that's just the reality of it. However, it's not impossible, and sometimes, as in my case, you get lucky. So even if you don't get it, it is helpful to build those relationships. So all of these are experiences you can get. We had the resources, and this has gone on for quite a while. Sorry, I guess we like the sound of our own voice. This is why you can't put friends in a podcast. We're just gonna like talk for too long. But thank you for listening, and I think we should cut over to our outro.
For sure.
Thank you for joining me, Christian.
Thank you.
And we're back. Thank you so much, Xavier, for that lovely episode. I know when I was freshman, sophomore, I would have loved to hear an episode like this because I was definitely in the same boat. I thought that, career stuff came at a later date when you're kind of nearing graduation almost, but that definitely wasn't true. And it would have been nice to hear all the advice you have for our listeners.
Xavier, what's the one thing you've learned or were surprised by in this idea of starting to look for jobs that you were, maybe you had a misunderstanding or a different preconceived notion of what the job search was going to be like or the career services was going to be like before you got here versus what you know now?
The biggest surprise out of anything is that companies in this area, these big firms in downtown LA, they are recruiting. They want to come here. They want to find these students. They consider us competitive even from these early years, and they also want to get a head start on recruiting us, just as we want to get a head start in being recruited. The fact that it's that mutual, that was a huge surprise.
Oh, you thought it was going to be you like begging companies, but actually no, they want staff. Like they need you guys. They rely on a workforce coming out of USC.
Yeah, I thought it would be like cold sending resumes and the firms are like, oh, what do we need? More engineers. No, they're looking to recruit. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Very cool. And then given that, just a kind of a different topic conversation, given that you're from New Jersey, I remember we first met in Philadelphia, if I remember correctly. So you're in that part of Jersey.
Conshohocken.
West Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. So technically not Pennsylvania, or technically not Philadelphia, but in that area. What was the reason that you found yourself coming all the way out here to the West Coast to LA for college? From New Jersey, were you always looking to get that far away?
Truth be told, I never thought about it. My dad is the one who put it on the list. I believe this episode is coming out December 1st, which is actually his birthday. So happy birthday,
really?
Dad.
Well, happy birthday, Dad.
But he put it on my list and he was like, hey, this is a really good school. They've got good career opportunities. There's a scholarship opportunity if you apply. And I'm like, sure, why not? And then we came out here and we saw just the details about the engineering school, the emphasis put on students, the resources, and we had an inkling of these career connections and the Viterbi reputation. And we just thought, yeah, that's worth taking a leap.
Okay. Very cool. Good stuff. And how often do you get back home?
The previous fall semester, I went back for fall break and Thanksgiving break and winter break.
That was your first year. Your first year?
Yeah, it was. And that was a lot of plane flights, so much that I kind of got sick of it. Yeah, and now this fall, I'm spending the whole semester here up until winter break.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Very cool. Yeah. So that leads me to the follow-up question. We just wrapped up Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is over. We're dealing in leftover land right now.
Yeah.
Safia, how was your Thanksgiving? You had a nice quiet one with your family at home?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was just me and a couple of our like extended family. The usual like turkey, mac and cheese, stuffing, all the things. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Very cool. Xavier, and it sounds like you stayed here. You're on campus?
Yeah, I'm on campus, and USC Village Dining Hall had some of the classic Thanksgiving foods, which was good.
Oh,
Oh,
are
cool.
they
Very
actually?
cool. Was
Yeah.
this your first Thanksgiving kind of not with your family?
Yeah, this was the first Thanksgiving away.
And how was that for you?
I got to call my family and I got to check in on them. It was a little bit weird, but I'm
Yeah,
trying to get a head start on final studying. Beware,
Mhm.
new students. Thanksgiving break is right before finals. It's a
true.
little scary.
True, that's right. Yeah, we got one more week of classes and then we go straight into finals, which a lot of
Mhm.
people from the outside world don't really understand. They always think first they don't realize how short 14 weeks is. Is it total 14 weeks and you start
Yeah.
in August and so you go all the way basically just to that first week of December and then you're essentially done. But Xavier, after finals, you get to go home.
Yeah, I get to go home and spend about 8 hours in New Jersey before my family and I fly to Puerto Rico. So,
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
yeah,
That's
fun.
cool. What are you going to be doing
visiting
in
other
Puerto
family
Rico?
there. We're
Okay.
visiting other family, celebrating Christmas, and then fly home afterwards. So I've got a lot of short timelines and quick turnarounds, but I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. So how long will you be in Puerto Rico?
It's like a week, I think it comes out to. We're gonna spend Christmas and the day after fly home.
Okay. That's nice. Very cool. Well, I wish you the best of luck and I wish your family the best. And I'm glad to hear that they're doing great. I'm glad to hear that you got through your Thanksgiving okay and you'll be able to see them in just a few short weeks to, as the semester wraps itself up.
Thanks.
And that is it for us on this particular episode. There is just one episode left for this semester. We will see you next week with another episode of Viterbi Voices. Bye bye.